How much do you really know about your iPhone? Sure, you might know how many gigabytes it has, how much it costs, and maybe the materials that it's made out of. But do you know the stuff that really matters? Like where they're manufactured, how the people making them are treated, or how the environment is affected? Maybe you've never really thought about it. So let's dive right into the making of an iPhone. Apple's largest factory is located in Shenzhen, China. During the busy season, a few months before holiday shopping, Chinese people leave their homes to live on base at the Apple factory for weeks at a time, working long hours and sleeping in dormitories. They produce roughly 350 iPhones per minute there, but employees are only paid around $2 per hour. This Chinese factory has a few more problems lurking. In 2013 and 2014, an investigation by CLW and Green America found 22 issues at Ketcher facilities, including forced unpaid overtime and improper handling of hazardous material. In all, the facilities violated 14 of Apple's supplier responsibility standards. One worker said, after a few hours, the gloves swell and get soft like they've been corroded. The fingers would be exposed. There was also reported irritation and peeling skin on workers' hands. The Apple factory isn't the only one guilty of poor foreign practices. In fact, it gets much, much worse. There are places like the Citarum River in Indonesia where there is so much trash and pollution from local factories and people that the water is undrinkable and unlivable to sea life. The water there causes skin rashes and is so full of garbage that it covers nearly the entire surface. Or we could look at the Noyal River that has more than 6,000 textile factories dumping spent dye into the river. Here, the water is unusable and the soil is a sludge. It's impossible for roughly 50,000 acres of land in the area to grow crops. Pali, India has over 800 textile factories, and over 68% of those are in the red, meaning they are the highest rating on danger when it comes to releasing pollutants. So, why is this happening? A lot of foreign countries, particularly in Asia, pride themselves on manufacturing. This is because they have less strict laws than North American or European countries do. The lack of regulations causes many U.S. companies to flock overseas to do their production. As a result, factories popped up all over Asia. While we benefit from cheap products with a Made in China logo on them, the people behind the product are being mistreated. Wages are significantly lower and hours significantly longer than in the US. There are also a lot more workplace accidents in these places, a lot of which get swept under the rug. In the Apple factory we were talking about earlier, they had to install suicide nets around the factory to get people to stop killing themselves at work. The poor regulations don't just have to do with the labor, though. There are also far fewer environmental regulations in these countries. This is why rivers like the Citarum and Noyal are so polluted. Factories are allowed to dump toxins into them every single day. Most small-scale textile businesses cannot afford the filtering system needed to reduce pollution, so they go around laws instead and use the rivers as their dumping grounds. It's not like these countries aren't trying to keep their water clean. They just can't afford to enforce what laws they do have. For example, Pali has 7 officials for the 250,000 people there. That's one official for roughly every 60,000 people. It would be impossible for them to regulate the thousands of factories there, and that's how the US gets around labor laws, by outsourcing their labor. So, what can we do about it? In short, think about what you buy. Because of the fundamental laws in these countries, there isn't much that we can do to stop them. But knowing about the tragedies that take place and expressing our disappointment is the first step. Before buying a product, think about the consequences. We need to hold our U.S. corporations accountable, even when they're overseas.